The Nintendo Switch is an awesome console. It is both handheld and a home console. And you know what? It's honestly one of my favorite consoles as of now. It really is. Even though I say a lot of things about it, I mean, yeah, the Switch is underpowered. It just is. But that's not always a bad thing. At least it's not the worst thing, right? And most Nintendo games on the Switch are pretty awesome. Now, when it comes to Monster Hunter, I couldn't help but think, should Capcom keep making Monster Hunter games for Nintendo platforms? And also considering that the Switch and its many iterations will probably be here to stay, should we have more Monster Hunter games on the Switch? Well, probably is my honest answer. And I think Capcom will most likely keep churning out Monster Hunter games on the Switch. Because I think we all know already how incredibly popular handheld Monster Hunter games are. The handheld games basically shot the Monster Hunter franchise into the stratosphere in Japan. Games like Portable Third, or even some of the later games in 4th gen on the 3DS, honestly made Monster Hunter what it is today. Not to mention that after Monster Hunter took a break from Sony, it was exclusively, at least the main games, were exclusively on Nintendo platforms for a couple of years, both 3DS and Wii U. Japan loves the handheld market. A lot of people live really busy lives in Japan, much like the rest of the world, but I feel like there's just a bigger emphasis on this lifestyle in Japan. Considering a culture of overworking, most people aren't really home that much to enjoy a lot of their favorite games. So being able to take them on the go is the next best thing. And it's been that way for a really long time. In fact, when the 3DS and honestly, when the PSP was around even then, we've seen many of our favorite franchises from Japan get put on handheld consoles. And I'm talking like mainline games from these franchises were becoming handheld games. It was honestly a huge adjustment for us overseas because a lot of us just wanted to sit down on a couch or sit at our desk and enjoy these games with higher fidelity graphics. I mean, let's be real here. A lot of us here in the West are superficial gamers, and that's not even a bad thing. A lot of us want games to look really good, and we want to have the best experience we can from home. Well, a lot of us do, not all of us. But as I said before, even here, a lot of us live busy lives. So a lot of people really do appreciate the handheld games even outside of Japan. It's still a big thing, but I will say culturally, it's a much bigger thing in Japan. So one thing that's often brought up when it comes to the sales difference between portable and console MH games is sales. But honestly, contrary to popular belief, Monster Hunter World actually sold 1.35 million units in Japan in the first 3 days. Compare that to Monster Hunter Rise's 1.3 million units in its first week. So here's a better question. What does this mean for the Steam Deck? Would Capcom just abandon Nintendo consoles and just go straight to the Steam Deck? Well, realistically, no. Even if the Steam Deck performs really well in Japan, at the end of the day, the Steam Deck is only an extension of Steam and an extension of PC gaming. It's not exactly an entirely new platform within itself, and it's not out yet. We don't really know how it's going to perform. And, everyone knows Nintendo consoles, so yeah, that's going to be a bit of a hard sell. But it looks like both Nintendo handheld versions of Monster Hunter games and the PC version of these games on the Steam Deck will coexist. That's kind of just how it is. Or that's how it will be. So considering with Rise coming out on PC very soon, and the Steam Deck actually coming out not in the far distant future, it's going to be interesting to see how that works. Are a lot of people in Japan going to want to get a Steam Deck because, one, it is portable, and two, it will have better performance than the Switch? Or will Nintendo catch up and have a better iteration of the Switch in the near future? Honestly, I have no idea at this point. But I will say that having these games on Nintendo consoles is probably going to be a mainstay for a long time. Because only Nintendo's doing the portable game and they're doing it well. And Steam Deck doesn't exactly count because, like I said, Steam Deck is just an extension of PC. So, at the end of the day, the Steam Deck will probably just be a better alternative for those who really like their handheld gaming and want better performance to go along with it. While most people will probably stick with Nintendo because, let's face it, Nintendo has really good exclusives that you will never see on PC. And that is why they still have the upper hand in this portable game. That is also why the Steam Deck won't put a dent in Nintendo at all, because Nintendo always has great first-party games. So yeah, I do think Capcom should definitely keep putting these Monster Hunter games on the Switch in its future iterations. I do think it's perfectly fine the way it is now. You know, have the big dog main game on home consoles, and then have, you know, a much smaller game on handhelds, like it always has been. So yeah, that really doesn't need to change. But the great thing is that both of those games can be on PC now, and they will be on PC, and you can get a Steam Deck. So best of both worlds. It's great.